So, 3 more days left in the year. We're winding down the year, right? I hope you're all making good preparations for starting the new year. At the end of the year, I always like to give a message and just talk about the whole process of starting our next year, right? And there's 2 parts to it. One is looking at the past, and the other is looking towards the future. So, when we think about looking towards the past, there's 3 things I recommend you do. And I've gone through this exercise, and sometimes it's a bit challenging. At least I find it a bit challenging. But the first thing is looking at our past year and thinking about what are the accomplishments that we've made in this year. And when I sat down to do this exercise, I sat there, and unfortunately, I think I did it when I started it when I was just not feeling so great. I thought, I don't know if I did anything this year. This is where having a journal is beneficial. Because what I did is I went through and, okay, let me flip through and see some of the things that, that happened in the year, and to remind us sometimes, because sometimes I lose perspective. Maybe you guys don't have that problem, but often I just, I'm dominated by whatever's happening to me right now. And I forget all the great things that happened during the year. I mean, when I think about it, the big accomplishments for me, one of the big ones was just going back on the board of the Interfaith Council of Sacramento. There was an article that I wrote about the unification vision for an interfaith publication, which I kind of struggled a lot over, but I was really inspired that it actually got published and was out there on the internet. At work, I've been studying a new programming language I didn't think I'd ever going to be able to learn. I had some progress and breakthroughs on that. And even got together with Eleanor, got out and did some door-to-door Tribal Messiah blessing, which turned out to be easier than I thought and a lot harder than I imagined. Getting myself out the door is the most difficult part, and just dealing with the spiritual angst and anxiety. But actually, once we're in the conversation with people are kind of neat. It's like, oh, wow. But after I finish that conversation, then walk into the next door. Okay. But my accomplishment was at least I got out there. We got out there and we knocked on some doors. Accomplishments can be in any aspect of our life, and it's important that we acknowledge the victories that we have and even the breakthroughs that we have. And it's really healthy to write things down. So at the end of the year, if we write down the things that you accomplished, the areas that we broke through, then we can claim them even more substantially and remind ourselves of the great things that happened this year. So then the second thing when we're reviewing the year that I like to think about is just, what did I learn? What were some of the lessons for life, or how did I grow, and what were the things that I learned? Again, writing this stuff down helps us to make it more substantial. For me, probably some of the biggest one, I did a couple of courses on coaching and mentoring, online courses, and one of the most valuable things for me, lessons, was just about a program called Safe Conversations, and the value of having good dialogue and conversations with people where you really listen to what the other person says and even repeat it back. This is an old, nothing new. You reflect back what the person said to you, say, now, did I really understand what you said? Powerful experience I had, just having someone repeat back what I said made me feel, wow, you were really listening. A lot of times, you say stuff to someone, you have no idea if they really heard you, especially if they're reading a newspaper or watching TV or playing a game on their phone, So this, the value of communication has been, it's not a new lesson, but it's a lesson I got a healthy reminder in this year. And so when we look at our life, we should always see our life as a process of growth and development. We should always be learning. And being able to write down and document those lessons, the things that I've learned, the areas that I've broken through. And the other big lesson for me is just related to that is just attendance, paying attention to things in my life, particularly, of course, with my family, but in the work situation and in any circumstance, really giving attention, not just kind of being lost in my head and my own thoughts about about whatever, but really giving attention to other people. It's a lesson, it's not a new lesson again, it's a lesson I keep getting reminded on because I think it's an important one. But I think as we go through each year and we take a time to reflect and pull together those lessons. So I encourage you to invest on that. And then the last thing, just when I'm looking back on the year, I like to look at the special things that happen. You know, the amazing experiences, the good memories that I want to hold on to. It could be not even just the good ones. It could be the challenging ones. Probably the biggest special experience for me was find out that my mom had cancer, stage 4 cancer. That was a real life changer. It's like, whoa, suddenly my whole perspective shifted. Even having Ron Pine pass to the spirit world. This is definitely a significant moment. You know, people that we know deeply, and many, and even other people I know that have passed away, but having known Ron so closely. And also there were the rallies. I was able to participate in the Peace Starts With Me rally in Los Angeles, and met Noel Jones, and just amazing things. And spent like a week down there going out and visiting churches and working with the mobilization team. Then also the rally in Las Vegas, things that I was able to actually participate in and say, I was there, I was actually there. And, of course, all the amazing events of True Mother's World Speaking Tour, but the things that I was actually participating in. So, of course, Renata coming back from Korea, that was a big special experience for us. Nice to have her back. So, all these things, it's important that we look at our lives and really claim the great and amazing and powerful life-changing experiences, and even the joyful ones as well as the significant and moving ones that happened in our past year. And it's almost like you get to enjoy it twice. When you think about it and you reflect on it, especially with some distance on it, you can feel the significance and meaning of the special moments that happened, good and bad, challenging and joyful. So that's when we review our year. But then after reviewing our year and reflecting on that, then it's time to make determination, vision, and focus for the future. Here's a quote from True Parents on training in life. Human thought is a wonderful thing. With one thought, you can think of the same thing in an evil way and be headed for hell. But with another thought, you can think of it in another way around, and you are positive in your thinking. Every moment, you must be thinking of how to swallow the bad things and digest them. Your way of thinking will decide whether you are heaven-bound or hell-bound. Our attitude is so important in shaping our experience of our life. And at the end of the year, this whole process of making New Year's resolutions, actually, it's a healthy thing to do, because it focuses our mind on growth. Focus my mind on what am I going to do different? How am I going to grow? How will my life be different? And by setting our mind, by focusing our mind toward the future, then we make the first step towards creating that new future. Not to sit and stagnate in just coping and surviving in the past. Oh, another year, okay. Probably going to be the same as last year. But making resolutions, and this is definitely a good time to watch lots of YouTube videos and TED Talks about New Year's and stuff, but I was really impressed by one thought, that even if you break your resolution 2 days after the new year, the fact that we make a resolution, we make a determination, we focus ourselves on a better future is extremely healthy in and of itself, and stimulates us and keeps us from just withering away and dying. So, making the resolution, it's good for our continual improvement, it's good to keep us growing, and also to keep us alive. Because life is constantly changing, and our process is constantly one of growth. So when we make our resolutions and goals for the next year, not just, I'm just going to make some goals, but when we make those kinds of resolutions, we set our mind, our heart, and our spirit, and honestly the spiritual world in a direction, in a focus that's healthy. Again, from True Parents. Do not make your goal just to attend school, study, go to a good university, get a job where you earn lots of money. The most important goal is to become a person who fulfills the 3 great blessings given by God. Become a person who loves heaven, loves people, and loves your country. If you develop your intellect, skill, and ability with that goal, you will realize a great vision. This is the when we're doing our reflection, it's these, we can even plan or use the guidelines for our life, the 3 great purposes that we read about, that our True Parents have been teaching us about, and we study in the Divine Principle, right? Remember what those 3 great purposes are?
Coffee.
Fruit.
Fruit.
Fruit, not coffee, fruit. Right? Eat lots of fruit, do your math, and dominate things. Not quite. Fruitful means to bear good fruit, right? Multiply means with relationships. Multiply your family and friends. And dominion is how we take care of the things of the creation. This is actually, let's read the verse from Genesis. And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. And have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. So these 3 great purposes, these 3 great blessings, this is how we interpret them. You know, the 3 is our 3 great purposes in life: to be fruitful, to multiply, and have dominion. You know, our great 4-position foundation diagram from the Divine Principle. To be fruitful is to become a person of true love, an individual whose mind and body are united, centered on God, and is able to bear good fruits in our lives. And then the second purpose, multiplies, centered on God, husband and wife, create a family. And that family also multiplies to the community, the society, and the nation and the world. So relationships. And then the dominion over the creation. As true people, we should have that kind of relationship with all the stuff in our life, all the things that we have, our toys, our clothes, our possessions, everything that we have. So these 3 great purposes, these 3 great blessings are great guidelines for setting goals, for making resolutions. The first one, to be fruitful, is to become a person of true love. And if we think about what does that mean to become a person of true love, really it's all about the relationship between me and God and my own individual maturation and perfection. So these are the 3 broad areas. You know, my connection to God, my daily spiritual practice and disciplines, activities that I'm doing, and my own practice and cultivation of self-control and self-discipline. When I looked at this, it's like, oh, okay, how am I doing? And how do I want to break through? My connection with God is, of course, prayer life, making regular prayer a habit. And for me, I've actually found journaling to be one of the best ways that I talk with God. You know, sometimes I write out my prayers. Sometimes it's more productive, especially if I'm trying to figure something out. But I'm just thanking God and talking with God. That's something that we do all the time. But developing that practices and the daily practice. Of course, Hundake, doing Hundake, And in terms of self-discipline, that one's a hard one for me. The self-discipline, I've been quite intimidated by Eleanor, who made a determination that she was going to get up and exercise every morning, and so here I am lying in bed, and what do I hear? I hear my wife, Eleanor, on the treadmill, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking, oh, gee, that sure would be a good thing for me to do. So I have determined that I'm going to do more exercising than I have the last year. So, but working on my own self-discipline and self-control, this is that area of being fruitful in our lives. And each one of us, we can look and reflect on our lives. I find these guidelines helpful when I'm making my determinations for the future, is centered on the three great broad purposes. Because everything we do in our life falls into one of those three broad areas. So then the second great purpose, to multiply, has to do with our loving relationships, establishing true loving relationships. So that second great purpose, to be multiply, has to do with me and people. My relationship with people, relationship with others. And these are three broad areas. Of course, our physical family, our spiritual family, our church community, and the larger community in the world. Developing true, loving family relationships, that's always a challenge. Ellen and I are constantly working on that one. How to be a true, unconditionally loving parent. I don't think Renata would necessarily my daughter would give me passing marks. Maybe you get a C+, maybe a B. I'm being optimistic here, but even I know I don't have an A on that one. So, but, that's the areas that we work on. In our spiritual family, our community here is the way we contribute to each other. I'm so grateful for all of you who are here today, and who participate in the activities and are doing in your own small way, in each small and large ways, contributing to the welfare of our community here. Both your spiritual support, your practical support of your presence, your financial support, your energy that you invest in making things happen. Lots that we can do for our spiritual family and also our spiritual children, the people in our lives, and then the larger community in the world. Looking at ways that we can make a positive difference in our environment. And of course, the most profound thing is to share the blessing of marriage with people. And looking to make a positive difference. The one thing that I really think is important is that we let people know that we believe in an absolute loving God. Not a God of judgment and hate, but that love is the core mission that God has given us to live in our lives, to learn to experience love. So we can multiply God's children by sharing God's love with them and helping them to understand and appreciate and experience God's love through us in our relationships. So we've got being fruitful, a person of true love, the goals around my own development. We've got multiply, true loving relationships. That's dealing with the relationship, the people in my life, the people I interact with. I probably should throw in even the people you interact with online. Watch out for your Facebook posts, okay? and emails that you may send out without thinking twice about, is this really beneficial to the people who are going to read it? And then the third broad area, dominion, is are we being true loving owners and stewards over the things of the creation? And that's my relationship between me and the world, the stuff of the world. And these are the three broad areas, working to develop my own talents and gifts and challenges and ministries in life, developing my skills. That's why, here I'm determined I'm going to continue to work on learning this new programming language and mastering it, right? So that's one of my challenges and gifts. But if I can use that, using my gifts for the benefit of others, working in all of us have different gifts in different areas. Some are very good with people, very talented with media, with computers, with art, with creativity, with music. So glad we have James supporting Peter and Mifa so that they don't have to worry that I'll be up here singing off tune and banging on the guitar. We've got a little bit higher quality here in the experience of music. Using our gifts and looking for ways that we can use them, the things that we've been blessed with to benefit others. Definitely, I'm grateful for Yunji's gift of food. I mean, what a difference that makes for our potluck. Can I get a hand for that? Boy, look at that. Always some amazing things that we have for our potlucks. Each one of us, we have different kinds of gifts, different things that we bring, the gift of humor, the gift of fellowship. There's so many ways that we can contribute to other people. Let's use that and look for, okay, I want to do that a little bit more that makes an impact larger than just, keeping all that good cooking just for my family. I want to multiply it, right, to the rest of the world and the larger community. And then the third broad area is just the material foundation, the way we deal with stuff in our life. For me, this challenge here is, finances and money and budget. I just really don't want to think about that. But being a good steward over our finances, being good with the things that we possess, even the things that we own. Are we taking good care of our stuff? Another big challenge for me. But all these things are areas that these three great purposes that we have in life, to be fruitful, be true loving people, and knowing God, being reflections of God's nature, multiplying through our relationships with others, and having a dominion with our relationships with the things in the world. All these things can describe the entire range of experiences and activities that we do in our lives. So I encourage you, it's always good at the end of the year to take advantage of okay, let's make a new start, reflect, claim the victories of the past year. Let's set up and make a determination of our goals for the future. And of course, resolutions are most effective when we write them down, we make them very clear and specific, not, I'm going to be a better person, more describing activities and actions I'm going to do. I'm going to do more of this or less of that. And how much more and how much less. Make them small steps, not I'm going to change my entire universe now, but small steps that we can do regularly. The first bite of the elephant, right? To eat our entire elephant, we can do it. But we have to do it one bite at a time, not the whole thing at once. And then continually reflect in our lives. Reflect on these goals that we have and challenges that we have, and reflect and meditate and course correct when we need to, because we get off course. We'll get off course lots. But as long as we have a goal and direction, when we see that we're off course, okay, I've got my North Star, my direction, my goal that I'm headed, so I can move myself back on. It's not a problem if we get off course. It's not a problem if we break our plan. The challenge is, okay, when I recognize that I'm off course, do I put myself back on course? And that's what regular reflection can do and support us in. And finally, being accountable. If you really want to break through with something, if you really want to get beyond yourself and any challenge that we have in our life, we need to be accountable to someone else. I break promises to myself all the time. And even I break promises to God. I apologize. But if I have someone else that I said, look, can you hold me accountable? That gives me, I'm a lot more embarrassed in front of other people. Sometimes embarrassment is a useful tool, right? I don't want to let them down. I don't want to whatever. This is a powerful tool to help us change, to help us to grow. So, let me close with this from the book of Matthew, because we're blessed in amazing ways. We have the experience of true parents, the experience of receive the blessing from our true parents, the blessing of marriage, the understanding about God's heart, God's vision for the vision and future of the world. Our true mother who's burning the candle at both ends, desperately working to bring breakthroughs, that are happening, and it's amazing. I encourage you, if you haven't read Dr. Jung's reports, we've been going through them as Hunda K in the morning. It's just phenomenal, the kind of national level leadership that are responding to the call of our true parents to build a heavenly kingdom and to restore families centered on God. So, let me close with this from Matthew. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Adieu? Okay, let your light shine. Please join me in prayer. Good morning, Father, Mother God, our loving Heavenly Parent. We are so grateful for your presence in our lives and the fact that you're always there, always working to create opportunities for us to grow, to heal, and to establish a world of true goodness. Heavenly Parent, we look at our past year, and there's so many things that we regret, Heavenly Parent, but in this moment we want to claim the victories, just as throughout all of human history you've continually claimed the victory so that you could move the province forward, even sometimes when it was only a threadbare victory. But Heavenly Parent, you never give up. And because you never given up, we have hope in our lives if we never give up. Thank you so much for the understanding we have of the three great purposes of our life. We want to be those true sons and daughters, Heavenly Parent. We want to have true loving relationships with the people in our lives. We want to have a dominion over the creation, that the creation can find joy in having true owners, Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much for our true parents and the foundation they've laid and the foundation that we stand on of biblical years of sacrifice of so many saints throughout history. So today, Heavenly Parent, as we're bringing a conclusion to this year, Heavenly Parent, we want to offer ourselves again to you and determine ourselves to be sons and daughters that can bring comfort to your heart and healing in this world. So we thank you and offer this prayer to you again as your sons and daughters. Amen.